Well, at least in terms of the tax credit, and I'll speak to that one in particular, because that one was one I was knee-deep in. One, I'm not sure I ever had thought through how important the coming together and the support from the private foundation, the corporate foundation sector was, that we all stood together. And I want to speak to that a little bit later as well. But that was critical, because those foundations were critical to the passage. They had a credibility that the community foundations did not have at that point in time in the history of our state. Secondly, I didn't realize how long it would take. I thought I knew, but didn't realize we'd have to hire basically a lobbyist or a firm that would help us through, and how the changing waters changed daily in terms of who was supporting it and who wasn't, what the questions were, and so on. The third was, all of a sudden you're in the public eye. And that means that you could be criticized for your work. And it takes just a ton of energy. The long-term benefits, I think, are worth it on so many levels. But you have to be prepared for it, and you need the leadership of, in our case, our association. Dottie was critical to that. She was continually the driving force. But without Russ Mawby and others actually taking their time, testifying in committee on behalf of philanthropy, and community foundations were part of that, it would never have passed. Now, to go a step further, what I think the Council of Michigan Foundations has been so important from day one is that private foundations, corporate giving programs, and community foundations all were part of the founding of it, and all have stood together from day one. That is different, I think, in Michigan than a lot of places. And one day, Randy Rieker asked me at a board meeting when the private foundations were being looked at in terms of their spending policy and their tax on private foundations. She said, and there had been some statements by community foundation leaders in other states like Pennsylvania against private foundations. She asked what our attitude was at a board meeting. And I remember saying that, Randy, we have always stood together, and we are here to support you, like you have always supported us. And Randy smiled. And I thought, you know, that's part of what this Council of Michigan Foundations and our philosophic approach has been over the years. Dottie taught us, Russ taught us. Well, we had an interesting situation in Kalamazoo. Mary Brown, who was our state representative, was against it initially. And Mary said, because of our largesse. And we happened to be able to demonstrate to Mary all of the grants and support for people, her constituents, basically, in her segment of the community. And the first time through, she decided then to remain silent and not to oppose it. The second time through, she led the floor fight. I think the reason it passed was because people saw that this benefited their constituents and that anybody could be a donor. I think the biggest issue at the state level was, how much is this going to take away from tax revenue for the state? Is it going to hurt? And I'm not sure that we ever had the right kind of research that we were able to demonstrate that it didn't hurt too much.